Hello, good evening. It's evening here. Good time of day it is where you are. It's time to play some more Falling Sky. If you don't know anything about Falling Sky, please feel free to ask questions. If you don't know about what we're doing here, please feel free to ask questions. If you'd like to talk about what you're doing there, please feel free to say what you're doing. Okay. It's time for the Swebby Mobilize card. Let's look at what the Swebby Mobilize card is. Remove any dispersed from both Swebby. These are the Swebby over here. It's German territory. And then conduct an immediate German phase as if winter, but skip rally. Okay, I remember that was the card we ended on last time. I kind of, every time I play, I wipe all information from the game from my head. I don't intentionally do that, I just do it. I think because I have other information that needs to go in my head for the rest of the time. So we're kind of, it's not wiped, I guess it's wiped from my conscious memory. Well, the Arverni player, Babs here, she's not going to want to do that. But she has to look at the next card, which is Optimates, right? This is the quandary we ended with last time. So which card does she want to act on? So if she passes on this card, that gives the Belgique a full action, which she maybe doesn't want to do because they are currently close to victory. And she's also, Babs is also close to victory, but it kind of depends on drawing out the Romans, correct? Because she gets victory from off-map Roman legions, of which now there are only 4. I think I've marked it incorrectly. Oh, I think the Romans just got a legion last time we played, that's why. So she needs those legions to go away, and then she's golden, because she's got her other victory requirement, which is just to have a number of allied tribes. If you don't know, allied tribes are these discs. The color of the disc matches the faction that the tribe is allied to. And kind of everyone's victory has something to do with that to some extent. The Belgique, they're more interested in their own home territory, which is this yellow area to the north here. I don't know if that color's really showing up. It's kind of showing up. The Romans want tribes to be allied with no one because they want to have control. They don't want them to be allied to these other barbarians. And the Aedui just want to have more allied tribes than anyone else, any one other faction. Okay, so Optimates, keep this card by the winter track. Oh right, Optimates is a really interesting card. And after I played last time, it started to come back to me. Well, even as I was playing, how, like from previous plays, this card really does change play. So it basically changes the Roman victory condition, but it also removes all the legions. So that could be really attractive to Babs right now, because what that would do is it would make it so the Romans, is it just, yeah, so it happens on each victory phase. So for her to choose that would be to bet that she's going to win, that she can just hold all of the tribes she has. And then I didn't fully explain what it does. What it does is it removes all the legions from the board, which, you know, totally ups her victory requirement, so it gets her to her victory requirement, like automatically, right? Provided she has the other victory option in place, which is to have the tribes allied to her. She has to have more than 8 tribes allied to her, or 8, I don't quite remember. And then, what is it, 9 or 7? 7? Yeah, 7 Roman legions off the map. Right now there are 4. So to get them all off, that would obviously meet that requirement. And then she just has to, so that basically it allows her to focus on just one of her 2 requirements, because the other one would automatically happen if the Romans victory exceeds 12. So it's not even in all cases. What would be her other option? She has some money now because she did some raiding last time. I guess it would just to be like to continue to build up, or else go after the Belgique. She doesn't really want to go after the Belgique, even though they are also close to winning. She'd rather the Aedui, who are like loosely aligned with the Romans, to do that. or the Romans themselves. Actually, it'd be even better if it was the Romans themselves. Well, let's talk to Babs. Babs is a horse trainer. Her secret fantasy is to ride in the Olympic Games. An unusual fact about Babs is she's studying Russian. She does not like people who don't speak English correctly, or it bothers her. That doesn't mean she doesn't like the person. She doesn't like that behavior. She'd like to meet Mikhail Gorbachev. Personal motto is make no assumptions. Most proud of riding her Grand Prix horse. Reputation in high school is honest, hard worker. 3 words that describe Babs are, who am I? And that's what we're trying to find out. Who is she? So let's focus on like honest, hard worker. Kind of feel like she wouldn't want to monkey with the game requirements. But she might want to pass on this. See, if she passes on this card, that's just too good for the Belgique. And we are getting closer. Our stack is getting higher to where our previous winter stacks are. This is, that's on camera. You can see that. I'm just kind of like comparing the relative heights of the decks. These are the previous decks. When winter comes, if you don't know, that's when scoring is tallied. Or victory is determined. If you met your requirements at that point, then you win, essentially. So you kind of want to, you're kind of always guessing, right? Because you don't know exactly when it is. It's seeded semi-randomly into the deck in these particular intervals. I could get into the nitty-gritty of that, but I think that's probably enough information. So I think she's just, this is tough. No, I think she wants the Romans to act. See, Romans are second on the Optimates card. She wants them to act because she wants them to get their legions out there, and she wants them to kill their legions. And she really can't force them to do that. So I think she's going to just go ahead and do a command plus special activity. And that command is going to be probably a rally, just to like increase that aspect, or her defensive aspects. I think she wants to put down a couple citadels here and here. That's dangerous though, because, well, if she has a citadel, at least that's some good defense. But then she can't put any warbands down here. Now, since the Romans have Caesar, they could march all the way there, but they'd be harried by warbands the whole way there. Well, no, because they could go through Aedui territory, and I think the Aedui would let them through. Or probably likely to here. Conversely, she could battle, get these Aedui out of here. But she can always just entreat them anyway with her special activity. So let's do that first, because we know she'll do that. Because Devastate is not exciting, and she's not going to ambush because she's not going to be battling. So she'll spend $2, and that'll actually help her get some people. So when you pick and treat, you're like, come on, join our side. We're against the Romans. You should help us. Heroic Logic, hello. It is. It's falling tonight. It's so nice. It's my son's movie night, so he is actually just in front of a television screen, so I can do this. And my wife's at a spa, so I can kind of just do this. What have you been doing today? And also, I was wondering what your name, Heroic Logic, is interesting. Is it like the courage that comes from being logical makes your logic heroical, or heroic, or where did you get that name? And I'm trying to learn to like pause after I ask a question instead of expecting an immediate answer, because there is a delay. And also you have to type, whereas I can just blabber. But it's nice to see you here today, or this evening. All right. So, yeah, she did that. I think she'll go ahead and rally. She'll get the citadels down. She'll put an ally down here. It's gonna be $1. She's gotta be careful not to spend all her money though. And 2 citadels down. 1, 2. That's another $2. And she's got to get some people too. I think she definitely wants to put some with Vercingetorix, because she does not want him to be super vulnerable. He's pretty vulnerable right now, but hopefully she could respond with a march before the Romans totally beat him up if they come in there. That might be all she does. Yeah, because she wants to have some money to respond to whatever else might come. I think she's going to stop right there. Alright, so let's go back to Pumpkin. Pumpkin, does she want to mobilize the Suebi? Remove any dispersed from both Suebi. Place a black Germanic ally at each that has none. Neither of them are dispersed, that doesn't matter. Then do an immediate German phase. That just is going to hurt her, really. So I think instead she will also do a rally. I don't know if you know, but last time she lost Ambiorix, which was really hard for her. But here's a response. It's from RPGs, the logic of heroism of having to defeat evil. Do the right thing. Blogger designer Rob Donayor. Sorry, the text I'm reading is kind of unclear just because of my eyesight's failing. I'm getting older. Donahue? It's like almost like Donahue, but there's a G in it, is what I'm reading. Donahue used it, and I liked it. Huh. I wonder what he used it for, but I guess I could look that up so you don't have to just type a bunch of stuff. But I would like to read about the logic of heroism, especially with regard to evil. I don't personally believe in evil. Or at least as a practical matter, I don't like to write things off to evil, because I think you can... Well, I work with children, right? And they're always obsessed with bad guys and stuff. So, like, fighting is the way to deal with problems, because that's what they're taught. Like, parents will be like, oh, there's a bad guy. What are you going to do about the bad guy? Or, like, they're just bad guys. It's kind of a way to, like, write things off for children so you don't have to explain things to them. Like, actually, they just are hungry, or, you know, they have some sort of sickness. Provincia is very red now. Yes! Yeah, last time Broccoli finally took that back. She didn't do a whole lot else, but she finally took it back. It got to be so that it was just Germans and Romans there, and I forget exactly what happened, but last session she took it back. So yeah, Ambiorix is gone. We are gonna rally here. Thanks for getting me off my tirade. Rallying here does two things. It gets the people down, but it also gives her control back, which is going to put her back up into the victory territory, which is good for her. And yeah, probably she'll be marching out of there soon to do something. So right now, if you joined after I talked about what was going on earlier, the Belgique are they're in their victory right now. The Arverni have come back quite a bit since probably the last time you saw this, and spread over. And the Aedui are not doing near as well. And the Romans are kind of still just piddling around, but she's starting to get things down a little bit more. So they did a limited command. I don't think I had them pay for it. If I did, that's just a bad luck for Pumpkin. We'll go on to the next card, which is Optimates. Now, this is going to be interesting again. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Do you have... I know you play some Heroic Fantasy board games. Do you play Heroic Fantasy video games as well? And if so, do you have any favorites? Actually, for board games too, but we already kind of talked about that. So if you have... I'm always interested in recommendations. Probably like RPG type role-playing games are kind of what I get the most enjoyment out of for video games. But the problem is they just... I get sucked into it, and then I get grouchy outside of when I'm playing them, so I don't do them very much, but I like to hear about them a lot. I was also had some questions about augmented reality. How much the game actually relates to the actual geographical place. And is there like a way that the program or the... Yeah, I'll say program. like analyzes the geographical data of a location in order to come up with stuff, or is it all just kind of like there's like a kind of a blanket procedural generation and then maybe some stuff is added in by developers for specific locales, or if there's some other way that's typically done, or maybe there's not a typical way to do it because it's kind of a younger field. It's a question I was thinking about after our last conversation about that. Okay, so does Broccoli want to do the Optimates? Now the Optimates makes her victory requirement 4 less. But then she's really kind of got to commit to get the Arverni out of there, because it makes it so that they can win by just removing legions, because the legions get removed if Broccoli would win. Or was I reading Optimates wrong? Okay, keep this card by the winter track. Upon the game's second and each later victory phase, if Roman victory exceeds 12, first remove all legions to the legion track, then end the game and determine victory. So maybe it's just totally bad for the Romans. I want to look at this. I think I misread it. The tropes of RPGs include meeting in pubs and following the heroic quest line because it's what most white heroes do. Which side is France? There is no France in this one. I would say the Aedui are probably closest to France in this game. But I'm thinking of France in terms of Here I Stand, whereas you're probably thinking of France in terms of Days of Decision 2, if I'm correct, Diane. But actually, well, there is a France in this game. I'm sorry, I misspoke. There's no one side that represents France. They all represent France to different respects. Like, I think descendants of all these factions will become the Frenchmen we know and love today. Optimates. Okay. Tips. This is the good way to figure out what they mean. Roman victory exceeds 12 means that the red subdued plus dispersed plus allies marker is at 13 or above. The upshot of this event is under certain circumstances to end the game early and remove from the Arverni the burden of one of... Yeah, that's what I figured out. As long as Caesar is doing well enough in Gaul, but the Gallic revolts continue, he will have to withdraw his legions to fight a Roman civil war without Vercingetorix having to throw them out. The Arverni will still have to achieve their other measures of success, maintaining 9 or more allies and citadels. Alright, so I did misread it. I thought it would allow the Romans to win early as well. So maybe Babs would have taken that one. But I guess she misread it too. Days of Decision 2 is my main exposure to the concept of France, yes. Yeah, mine too. Well, mine is actually Here I Stand, but... I guess I was in France. But I still kind of think of France more in terms of the game Here I Stand than I do of actual France. There are different kinds of AR. One type of AR looks for registered markers. Another identifies surfaces and then uses some kind of positional tracking. So does it take into account elevation or biome type? Can they read that, or is that something that has to be encoded? Yeah. It's a pretty interesting field, I think, and I think some pretty neat things could be done in that, especially if we want to make things way cyberpunk. I think we really need to up our AR game. And I think more interesting things could be done than kind of the standard cyberpunk stuff, looking at different stores will give you deals and stuff like that. That's probably the least interesting thing that you could get from AR. But if you're playing a game and there's something that connects the geographic location that you're in with what you're getting or experiencing, I think that would be the most interesting. So the Romans don't want to take this Optimates event. The Arverni probably did, but they didn't. So they're going to do a command plus special ability, right? And I think it's time for Broccoli to march out. Unless... Does she want to just build up more? Get some Auxilia? I don't know. She probably does if she's going to go after Vercingetorix. Let's look at what happens when they march past barbarians. Move pieces up to 2 adjacent regions, 3 with Caesar. Stop it devastated across Rhenus or in and out of Britannia. If through a region Gauls may, Germans do cause losses. Remove 1 Auxilia or 1 to 3 legion. Yeah, she does not want to march past these guys. And she can't really get to Vercingetorix. She doesn't want to march. There's no like free way she can get there. So I think she does need to... She can do a build plus do a build plus recruit, I think is what she wants to do. Now what I wonder is, can she wouldn't get control there. Yeah, so the most she could do, this is where she would want to build. She would de-build the there's more people asking things. I'm getting behind. Why do I do this? Are you asking me or are you asking... I assume you're asking me. Yeah, the goal is to conquer France or to have the most influence of France or to do the best for your people. Why do I play this game? Because I really enjoy it. Why do I stream it? Because I guess it makes me like less guilty for just enjoying it. If other people could maybe get something out of it too, because otherwise it's kind of masturbatory, which I'm totally okay with. But it's like, if I'm going to be doing this anyway, why not share? And I really like social interaction too, so that helps. And it's a nice, comfortable social interaction because I'm in my room and I'm doing what I want to do, and I can kind of like in a limited way converse with people at the same time. I don't know if that was your question. The basic kind just identifies any flat surface or vertical. There's research into using feature analysis and maybe maps to a database like Google Earth. Yeah, it seems like they would do that, right? That seems like the kind of the logical next step. And here's Vance Watkins. If all she could do is ask condescending questions, then maybe she should go be a wolf somewhere else. No, Baby Wolf actually wants to know. Baby Wolf's been here before. Baby Wolf has a probing mind and wants to know about things. I think that's what's going on. But Vance also likes to sometimes cast a negative light on things for humor's sake, I think. But it's nice to see you here, Vance Watkins. Thanks for coming by. Feel free to say whatever you want. I wasn't trying to shut you down there. I was just putting in my own 2 cents, so I didn't feel shut down either. We're all free to speak, or I'm free to speak. You're free to type. Not be a wolf, Greg. Be a wolf. That's double B. Be a bay, or is that like be Beowulf? Diane, do you know if Beowulf was ever in France? Okay, so what? Be Beowulf, yeah. Which I think would be quite the life. Beowulf had quite the life. Does anyone have any suggestions to me? Do the people in this game have personalities? Yes, they do. That's a great question. Right now, the personality we're trying to think on behalf of, and you could maybe help, or anyone who wants to, who feels drawn to this character, is Broccoli. Broccoli is playing as the Romans. Broccoli is a massage therapist. Her secret fantasy is to live in a small cabin by a stream where she'd make baskets and grow her food. An unusual fact about Broccoli is she's the first female from her high school to go to engineering school. Her pet peeve is people who litter. She'd like to meet her paternal grandmother. Personal motto is keep learning. Most proud of an open-minded approach to life. Reputation in high school is brain. Good kid. 3 words that describe Broccoli are facilitator, patient, grower. So I would say she has a personality. She also has a special capability, which you might want to think about if you're going to like suggest Broccoli to do anything. And that is, in battles that have Roman leader and legion, final losses against Romans are -1, and final losses that Romans inflict are +2. Oh, you're getting some real people cards. That's great. Keep me posted on what you do with them, because I'm a big proponent of them. I think they're a really useful tool in all sorts of aspects of life. Diane says, this is just my idea, but I think Broccoli would want to build a network of roads and trade caravans. I think she would too. The mechanisms of this game kind of support her mainly just like making a network of her controlling things or other people not having influence over things. And she can either do that like more directly and violently or less directly and violently. Broccoli is tired of never being taken serious and now wants to dominate in a way that she has never thought to be in a way before. Oh, interesting. So we kind of have two different routes there. And the way you're saying Baby Wolf is what she hasn't been doing, but she's always up for learning new things. So maybe she kind of learned through how poorly she's been doing this game that maybe she has to be more aggressive. Because she was in, like the Romans kind of are an aggressive, strong faction in this game, but she didn't play it that way at all. And it kind of messed things up. Or maybe not. Maybe it's going to work out, but... Okay, yeah, that does sound hot. If all you can do is plug eBay, maybe you should go. No, he's letting me know that he got some real people cards. That's the important thing here, and that's probably a good site to get it if you don't just run across it at Goodwill. Though I found 2 copies at Goodwill. Lots of times I go to the thrift shop and I don't see copies, so that's chances of you getting one, I don't know. All right, so I'm hearing roads, which is control. That's kind of how I'm looking at that. And aggression. So, now, one thing you should know, Bebe Wolf and anyone else, is that she is very good at being aggressive, but she also doesn't want her precious legions, which are these cubes, to get attacked. So she kind of needs to have these auxilia, which are just kind of like nothing people, come along as well, so that if they get hit, they can take it. This game cannot have espionage. At some point, I'll be playing Virgin Queen, which is kind of like a broader scope game that has espionage in it. And yeah, sorry, this one does. Well, it kind of does in a way. Actually, no, I'm going to take that back. So there are a couple different ways espionage comes into this game. So one is that the Arverni, which is the green faction here, they can entreat like warbands from other barbarian tribes or auxilia from the Romans to just kind of switch to their side. So that's kind of a way of doing some espionage. They just kind of like talk them into joining or bribe them. Another way, like a very strong way, is the Aedui. They're kind of like the espionage faction, if there is one. And they have Suborn, which Suborn lets them like just place and remove all sorts of different stuff, provided they are located there and underground. So there is a kind of espionage, and there's lots of ambushes and things like that as well, which is a little different than espionage. But there's also scouting, the Roman scout things, which like reveals the hidden warbands. Yeah, I don't like it either, but that's kind of how they're treated. So I'm just kind of looking at it from that perspective of the Roman. The legions are their like kind of noble, like good people that it actually matters if they die, whereas the auxilia, it doesn't matter except for their use. But I agree, everyone is valuable. So we got to think of a way to strike out. Now, here's another question. The Belgica here, they're at their victory area. The Aedui are in there kind of starting to mess with them, using some espionage, but they kind of used up their espionage, and now they would have to go underground to do anything else. The Arverni are also very strong, and they're much closer to Rome, essentially, Provincia. Though in the Roman mind, this is all Rome. Yeah. I think so. I think so, Baby Wolf. Story driven is good, and it always entails espionage in some fashion. So if Rome is going to get violent, I think what we want to do, since we're thinking of roads and we're thinking of violence, is we want to get a control network that would allow Rome to strike at either Belgica or the Arverni. Belgica is the yellow, Arverni is the green. The problem is the best way that network would work would be to go through the Aedui and take that over, but Rome kind of needs the Aedui to help them out. So if they got rid of them in order to develop this network, they would no longer have the Aedui to help them out. So that's a problem. Now maybe we could, since we kind of already started building a road, if you see these control markers here, this is Diane's Road. We'll call this Diane's Road. There's these control markers here. We could go up through Treveri and then just across, and that would be enough to cut off Belgic victory. It'd be really hard for Rome to defend all of this, but that's what we could be trying to do. And then back down through here to hit the Arverni. But the problem is we really need to protect the legions, because if the legions die, that just helps the Arverni, because their goal is to have legions die. So maybe if everyone who has a stake in Broccoli's side, the Romans, if everyone agrees, we could just have them rally right now. And then I don't know what else they would do along with that. I guess they could rally and build. I'm going to wait like 10 seconds, see if anyone has a problem with that. Rally and build, and rallying will give us the forces we need to then start being more violent. Ooh, they could actually also build a fort here too, which would kind of help their road and keeping control. Okay, we're going to rally and build. Let's rally and build. So rally here, we get to do 1, 2, 3, 4 auxilia. And I think they get to rally here for free because it's a special thing. No, that's a march out. Oh, actually, the rally isn't going to cost them anything because we're in the supply line. That's good. The rallies up here will cost something. But they actually don't get to... We can't even build up there, can we? Okay, we're a little more limited than we thought. So build, you have to be in the Romans. There has to be a Roman ally or supply line with Romans. And a supply line... Actually, if it has no control, then it counts as in the supply line. So they could still build here. They could not do anything here, though, which is too bad. So we can... Yeah, so we can remove this for 2. That costs nothing. We can go ahead and put... We can rally some fellows here in Gallia Togata. I think 1 can go here. We'll put a fort down here for 2. Now, that still does not give them control. So they can't do anything further. They couldn't rally there, actually. They'll rally there as well. Does that sound good? Okay. I think everyone likes that idea. And that'll be it for Broccoli's turn. The Aedui. Now, I think Mars, personally, would sell Babs the opportunity to use the Optimates event. That's the one that makes it so that if the Romans victory marker is 12 or above, it removes all the legions from the map, but I don't think Babs has enough to really pay Mars to do that. So I don't think she's going to do it. I think she will do a limited command, I want to say. and I'll introduce you all to Babs. Or Mars, sorry. Mars is a teacher. Some of you haven't been here, or if you've been here, you haven't been here in a while. And maybe not when I happen to be showing off Mars. I bring up these people a lot when I stream, just so people who are just joining can know who they are. Mars is a teacher. Her secret fantasy is to shop until she drops. An unusual fact about Mars is she collects cat items. Pet peeve is people who talk too much. She'd like to meet Mother Teresa. Personal motto is something interesting each day. She's most proud of her husband. Not her cat items, her husband. Maybe her husband's a cat. Reputation in high school is too good to be true. 3 words that describe Mars is she's kind, a shopper, and a good teacher. So the thing that stuck out with me about Mars is that she's a shopper and she likes to collect cat items. I don't know if you're seeing something that I'm not, though. So pretty much right now, Mars is trying to shut down both the Arverni and the Belgique, because her goal is to have more allied tribes, more tribes allied to her than anyone else. Yeah, no, she's not. She's not. It may be like she's named after the candy bar. Could be. Or maybe she's red a lot. Mars is the red planet. Looks like she wants to generate victory points by fortifying cities and building naval routes. Yeah, but she's nowhere near the sea. That's good. This music is Joe DeAgostino. He is a guy I found a while back on archive.org. All his music is totally Creative Commons, and it's awesome. So that's why we're listening to it. And I'd kind of like to find other stuff other than Joe DeAgostino, but I haven't spent the time looking. That's in the Creative Commons. I occasionally have used things that are on Spotify or whatever, but there's always like copyright issues. And so like replays of the video, not that anyone wants to replay it, but sometimes I export them to YouTube, and then there are people who like to watch them there. And then it just like the audio gets shut off, and then it's kind of hard to know what's going on if I'm not blathering, even though I'm not that good at explaining what's going on. So she goes into collecting mode since she likes to collect cat things. Yes, yeah. So far she's kind of had 2 different modes she's done, which is like, well, 3 different modes. Well, no, 2 different modes. No, 3 different modes. One mode has been, kind of building up her money, and then she goes on a big shopping spree and does suborn, which is that espionage thing I was telling you about earlier, Bebe Wolf, on a bunch of people to get things and also get rid of things. So once she did a limited command, and that's what killed... No, she did an event, which killed Ambiorix, which is the Belgian leader. That was pretty heavy last time. Historically, cats represented city fortifications and victory points. I bet that's true. I bet that's in a book somewhere. Okay. So she's got one little thing she can do. And she can't suborn right now. She could just pass and get $1. That's another option of something she could do. But she has these revealed warbands here. She might want to try to do something with them. Like, she could also march them somewhere else in order to set up some trouble later. But she kind of wants them here, actually. So she could march them in place. She is conflicted. They're all conflicted. I think everyone's conflicted. But that doesn't mean she can't use help. Doesn't mean that the help would actually help, but it would let her do something. My inclination is to have her march in place, which basically all that would do was let these flip over so that they're hidden, which would let her suborn there in the future. Though actually march is from one particular location, right? So she could also march from there. Yeah, she can only pick one originating location. So she could march like some of them into here, some of them into these other Belgic regions, which would essentially force Pumpkin to spend her turn just getting rid of them. And then she could also march another one down here and bother the Arverni. Actually, down here would be even better because they don't have a citadel there. She hates cats, though. She only likes cat things. Kind of like people who collect hobo statues. Yeah, that's good. No. What Vance Watkins is trying to say is that they collect hobo statues because they hate hobos. Okay. No, that she hates people who collect hobo statues, but collect statues of them. Alright. Well, I think she's going to do that march thing, and that will let her collect more later. Because she can't do a full thing right now. She's only doing a partial thing. So she'll march to here, to here, to here, and in place, all for the low price of 1 coin. That'll get us to the Land of Mist and Mystery. Oh, we're at Winter. I was going to say that's probably going to be our last card, but Winter means that I think the game is over, actually, which is good because my time is up. So I was kind of hoping to get to Winter. I wasn't hoping for the game to end, but I think the game's over. No, I think you meant no, like no, that she hates people who collect hobo statues. To have knowledge of how you spell things differently? Is that what you want people to know? Alright, if any faction has met its victory condition, they win. The Belgique are just over the limit here. I should note that if I had not misread that Optimates card, that it would probably actually be the Arverni Babs that would win. Because that would have removed all the legions from the track, which would have totally rocketed up her victory margin, and she would have been ahead because she was 2 over 8 on here and way over 7 on this victory thing. Who's playing as Belgium? It's Pumpkin. Pumpkin here, she won. She didn't really do much on the stream, but no one did enough against her to do anything. All she did so far today was rally 3 warbands there, which got her the control she needed to be in the victory area. Pumpkin is unemployed. Her secret fantasy is to go to the South Pole and photograph penguins. She has an ankle that pops out of joint. Her pet peeve is when people pull out in front of her and slow down. She'd like to meet Margaret Thatcher. Personal motto, what happens, happens. Most proud of her bargain shopping skills. She had the squeakiest clean rep in high school. 3 words that describe her as traveler, caring, and an animal lover. So that's it. So I think what I'm going to do for this game, since really Babs should have won if it weren't for my human error, which would have been a nice turnaround for people who were watching earlier on. She was doing really bad at the start. I'm going to keep both of these in the game box so that next time I play, they will be in it. Maybe not as the same side. I think I might pick more appropriate sides, especially for Pumpkin. Pumpkin likes to travel, but the Belgique kind of really just want to stay in Belgium. So, all right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for saying that to Pumpkin, because she feels like she did something, even though I'm kind of saying that she probably shouldn't have won. She feels like she did a good job, and I think she did. She held her own. She was in the victory condition. It's just that Babs, if I hadn't messed up, or if Babs hadn't messed up, would have been further in the victory condition. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, Vincent, about the Stone Cold shit slinging. Just a great big chunk of frozen, mineralized shit. Coprolite, they call it, I think. Okay. Yeah. Well, sometimes I just do that. I don't mean to. I think it might be my diet. I don't know. That was exciting to play this. I think next time we'll get to say next time on the Real People Multigame Solitaire Mega Tournament, we are going to play the next part of the Innovation Micro Tournament that goes into the English leg of the Real People Multi-Game Solitaire Mega Tournament. It will be the semifinals, and it's going to be between Banana and Giraffe, which will be fun. And then the winner of that will face off against Pinky, and then maybe we'll have eliminated enough people from the English leg. Yeah, I never know what show I'm putting on, and then sometimes it's the Howard Stern show, but I think it's because we're putting on the show. I feel like we're all a part of this show, and we're all making it together, right? But I guess maybe that's also how Howard Stern works. I don't know. I've never seen his show. I had a friend who was really into it. I guess he's still my friend. I didn't lose a friendship over the fact that he likes the show, but I haven't talked to him in a while, and I don't know if he still likes it or not. Do what happens to France now. Oh, okay, yeah. That's a good thing to say. A good suggestion. Thank you. That's a better ending than me talking about next time on the Real People Multi-Game Solitaire Mega Tournament. Victory. Now, I have to warn you, some of these coin games have like a thing, like what happens if this faction wins, what happens if this faction wins. Some of them do not. I do not know if this one has that or not. There's nothing in the rule book. Let me check the playbook. Not seeing anything in the table of contents, Diane. How am I on time? Okay, I gotta see to my son here soon. I don't think this one has it, which is, well, let's look at the design notes. Nope, then the design notes go right into event text. Maybe it's in player strategies. Page 18. Okay, well, I can read about Belgic tribes. Yeah, especially blue cheese, am I right? The Romans know that you are preeminent in courage among the Gauls. Caesar came to soften and subdue Belgica, but she always rises again, she being Belgica. You will win by keeping the tribes across Belgica and beyond in revolt, in allegiance to you and under your warband's control. I mean, well, I think we can... It doesn't really say exactly what happens, but I think what we can surmise by looking at the board is Belgica, like, becomes solid, its own thing. And they just become really good at being Belgium. And the Arverni look like they would kind of have dominance over post-Roman France. Yeah, it is really good. My partner really likes blue cheese a lot. I also like it, but not as much as she does. I wooed her through a blue cheese salad. That was one of my strategies. It had more stuff in it, like spinach, but I think the blue cheese is what made it work. But I have to go. Thank you, everyone, for chatting with me. It makes this a lot more fun. It's fun anyway, but I enjoy all the input and everything. So thank you. Not input like criticism, though I would be fine with that, but just like input into the thought process and through the interaction. Interaction. I enjoy all the interaction. That's what I want to say instead of input. Talk to you fellows later. Night. Thanks.